New this morning, Coinbase saying the SEC has agreed to dismiss its enforcement case now against the company. These are the charges that were filed back in 2023. By the way, the stock up about 5% on the back of this news. That investigation and the effort started in 2023 when the SEC sued Coinbase for operating as an unregistered securities exchange broker and clearing agency for failing at the time to register the offer and sale of its staking as a service program. Now, I spoke to Coinbase's co-founder and CEO Brian Armstrong about how all of this happened.
First of all, this is a huge day for us and also for the 50 million Americans who hold crypto, the whole crypto industry in the world. I think it's a really important signal that this small group of activists in this prior administration who tried to unlawfully attack this industry, we're going to be able to turn the page on that and finally get some regulatory clarity in America. But to answer your question, how this all happened, I mean, yeah, in 2023, they came to us and said, we think you're trading securities on your platform. But the problem with that is if you go back to just a few years prior, we had gone public. We had explained everything about our business to the SEC. They asked us a million questions. They knew exactly what our listing process was and how we took a very conservative approach. And then a few years later, the political climate changed and they suddenly changed their mind. But that's not how it works. If you're a regulator, you can't just make up new rules if you don't like the existing ones. They have to follow the law and they have to publish clear rules that the industry can then adhere to. And so this case was bogus, and we were right on the facts. If we hadn't stood up for our customers' rights and actually pushed back against this, it could have been the end of the crypto industry in America. So I'm incredibly proud of this outcome and what we did to defend our customers' rights.
Can you, though, take us behind the scenes, though, about how the SEC and this administration ultimately decided to end the enforcement action and what kind of conversations you had with them?
Yeah, well, this was a long process. And, I think what they realized is that they were going to lose badly. And I have to give a lot of credit, actually, to this new administration that's come in and Paul Atkins, some of the existing commissioners like Uyeda and Peirce. I think they're in the process of reforming the SEC and trying to clean up some of these actions where the SEC really painted outside the bounds of the law in the past. That was clear to some of the folks in the SEC at the time, and I think it's clear to the folks that are in charge now. And so I got to give them a lot of credit. They're coming in, and I hope that they'll dismiss all the bogus cases, frankly, and it'll be a domino effect for the rest of the industry.
In terms of how this is all going to work in practice, what's the next step in the process? So do the commissioners have to vote?
Yeah, what we're told is that next week the commissioners will vote on it. It seems to be a formality at this point, but the staff they're telling us they're recommending to the commissioners that this be fully withdrawn. And I want to be clear, this is not a settlement where we pay some fine or admit some wrongdoing. This is just they're fully withdrawing the case. And so we're not changing anything about the business. We're not paying a single dollar as a fine, which I believe is quite unprecedented in SEC history.
How much does this legal battle cost the company?
Yeah, I don't mind telling you, actually. We went and tallied it back up because I asked that exact same question. And just on external legal fees, I believe we spent about $50 million. That does not include, by the way, the cost of internal employees that we spent on this. So it was in excess of $50 million.
At this point, given this cloud may be moving away, how do you see the regulatory regime moving forward? What are you seeking? What are you asking for? And what do you think is going to happen?
This legal precedent is very important to make sure that we can't revisit this issue again, or a future SEC administration can't revisit it again. But what we really need to do in the United States to get regulatory clarity is to have Congress pass legislation. And that's going to have a couple of key components to it. There's already some stablecoin draft legislation being discussed in Congress. That's an important piece so we can have a digital dollar that preserves America's reserve currency status. We also need to get token classification, or market structure, some people call it, which is essentially just clarifying which of these crypto assets are commodities, securities, payment tokens, artwork, or something else, so that we know how it should be regulated. And if we can get those, the third one I would say would be a strategic Bitcoin reserve. I think that would be an important asset for the United States.